According to Zuliskandar, in 2014, adaptive reuse defined as conserving a heritage building by changing the physical components of the building with the least amount of impact of the original state. The historical building with hope that the past memory could be retained and retook at the same time, the building revitalizing its vicinity. By adaptive, the old building may help them preserve for a longer period and revive through the conservation development. Adaptive reuse defined as the restoration and renovation that being made towards the historical building that have minimal impact on the heritage significance of the building and its setting. Developers should understand on the heritage status in some of the building before pursue other development on the building, because if drastically changes happen on the historic building, we lose of the heritage values. Central Market, or popularly known as Pasar Seni to Malaysian, is a center for Malaysian culture, arts and crafts. It is located in the heart of Kuala Lumpur, which is at Jalan Hang Kasturi near Klang River. This historical place is a beloved destination for both the locals and tourists, especially the ones who love art and shopping. The building itself was built in 1888 for a different function before it was restored to be a cultural center, almost a century after. This building has always been a place for people to come and shop for their essentials. In 1800, Central Market was built by Yap Ah Loy because it was acquired by the British government in 1888. It was first built to be an open wet market for residents and tin miners in Kuala Lumpur. In 1900 to 1950s, as the years goes by, Central Market had seen to undergone multiple renovation and expansion. In the 1930s, the building had been improvised into a larger size with an Art Deco facade as shown. By then, it was known as Pasar Besar Kuala Lumpur to the residents due to its successful wet market. This place was where residents went to buy their essentials and daily needs. In 1950s to 2000s, in 1980s, the wet market was relocated, making the building being left alone and abandoned. Therefore, the old marketplace and many old shop houses were to be demolished by the instruction of the Urban Development Authority. According to the official website of the Central Market, in 1985, the federal government granted RM9 million for this building to be facelifted and transformed into a Malaysian cultural center. In 2000, by 2004, under the company Central Market Sendirian Berhad, the building was transformed into an award-winning tourist attraction and shopping destination. Some of the changes seen was a zone shopping area and upgrading of stalls and the annex. As Malaysia is known for its multiracial culture, zones were created in the Central Market to reflect some of them. These include Lorong Melayu, Lorong Cina and Lorong India. Currently, the Central Market has been continuously contributed to the tourism industry. Most tourists must go to this place to see and buy Malaysian souvenirs and also arts and handicrafts of Malaysia. It has now consisted of a variety of more than 300 shops. A food court was also present in the Central Market today to promote a local food. There is also an outdoor stage present at the Central Market. This stage was used for showcasing the Malaysian culture through performance of dancers singing, instrument playing, and art show. In 2011, Kasturi Walk was opened right next to Central Market, as shown. Central Market is located along Jalan Hang Kasturi, Kuala Lumpur, at the border of Chinatown on the map shown. It is located a short walk from Petaling Street, which is a popular attraction for tourists. Kuala Lumpur's main architectural heritage building are walking over the Lebuh Pasar Besar Bridge. Starting with the Sultan Abdul Samad Building High Courts and the other buildings across the Padang Merdeka. The Central Market has a privileged position just downriver from the confluence of the Gombak and Klang rivers, in the heart of historic Kuala Lumpur, where the city was created. In their quest for tin, the place was once the landing place of the founding fathers of the city. Access to location. Central Market is exactly at the side of Kasturi Walk at Pasar Seni. A short walking distance away is the popular Chinatown of Kuala Lumpur. Public transportation here connects the Central Market to all major attractions and hotels in Kuala Lumpur. The KL Central Rail Station is only 1.5 kilometers away from the market, thus providing easy access to the KL International Airport. Visitors can arrive at Central Market by driving themselves with a car or taking a bus operated by Rapid KL depart from KL Central Station. This journey takes 5 minutes because the location is only 1 kilometer. There is a direct train, Kelana Jaya Line LRT, departing from KL Central and arriving at Central Market. Services depart every 5 minutes and operate every day. After all, the journey takes approximately only 3 minutes and costs about 2 ringgit to 7 ringgit.
Okay, next I will describe three things about the architecture, materials and elements for building description Central Market. Okay, first for the architecture, the Central Market is a trapezoidal box measure 400 length times average 200 weight and times 26 height. It may still be a Kuala Lumpur's largest single room. No two facades are identical, but the whole is kept together by the unfailing treatment of the fenestration, which repeats the same pattern of the entrance on the two long sides with glazed panels of the differing width set up in irregular rhythm. The original designer architect T. Y. Lee claims the building is so strong that it can be still accommodate a mezzanine floor and one more floor on top of the roof. Today, the building is single-story with a mezzanine floor. In the figure 6 show the plan of the first floor, while figure 7 show the plan of the mezzanine floor. And also, the building data which state in Malay mail story dates 5/6/1936, in which the town engineering Mr. R.H. Tate unveiled the plan of the new market to members of the Kuala Lumpur Sanitary Board, currently known as a DBKL. While the consulting engineering were trying to track down Mr. R.H. Tate in the United Kingdom to find out more about the reinforcing steels used, the original designer surfaced and identified himself engineer and architect T. Y. Lee. In his words, when asked if he had been influenced by the Art Deco style popular at the time, I designed the market according to my style. I never follow any styles. I liked the design and I wanted it to be strong and nice looking. However, the architecture styles of the Central Market is said to be the Art Deco style by the profession. Facade of the Central Market posts the architectural style of the Art Deco with straight, bold use of the step forms, frontage rising to a flat roof, sharply geometric door surrounding and tall window. Okay, next I will go for the architecture roof. The central market roof consists of the three types: the barrel vault roof, the glazer skylight roof, and the flat roof. According to Che Vong Phi, it does two things spectacularly by using the barrel vault roof over the atrium. First, directing one upward to the roof and basically housing the hydraulic lift system. And secondly, imposing a second exit at the right angle to the skylight by the E shape. A strong model frieze run right along the top at the roof level ties the whole together. Okay, next. Three bridge connect to the pavilion. Across the central mall to the restaurant side, the main stair of the hydraulic passengers lift facing the stair provide more vertical entry. The latter two of the which are situated in the central atrium. Stair in each pavilion, with the exception of one which a fire escape stair, lead directly to the mezzanine floor shop, which is powerful axial glazed skylight bridge at the top, and lastly the central mall is kept clear. There are two levels of the restaurant's food and beverage outlet on the other side along the Bay, whose floors are taken up to the window mall and necessary compartments except in the center where there is an open restaurant with the 16 mezzanine slab freely floating over it. Free of the outside wall here, as described in Majalah Architect 3 and 4, 1986. Next, we go for the description building for the materials. Majalah Architect Vault 3 and 4, 1986 state that the main structure of the central market consists of the reinforced concrete support and RC piles. The roof was constructed to take up another levels, firmly built in the reinforcement concrete. After several years, the building remained structure sound. The central market doors and windows are glazed with 316 distinct blue-green colored roll plate glass, which allow for just around 20% of the heat of the sun and 60% of the daylight. Within the central skylight running the entire 401 length of the structure was glazed with a lighter tint of the calorics. To such a degree, this must have been the earliest use in Malaysia of heat-resistant glass. In reality, Kuala Lumpur's first energy-efficient building might well have been the Central Market. Metal grilles are mounted on the door and windows. Okay, now we're going for the building discussion for element floor. From the internet observation, generally the floor in Central Market is in good condition where most of the floor is tiles at mezzanine level and ground level. Only on the restaurant side on the rooftop is not tiles. The whole floor area is kept clean and well managed. There is no noticeable defect on the board, just a hair crack found in different locations, but not badly damaged as seen. Okay, now we're going for the element wall. The interior wall is still usually in strong and sound condition. The wall consists of the 4 inches of the brickwork and white paints. However, original peripheral wall are left abandoned, especially in the solid central market areas, such as behind the wall of the cluster. Some defects are found, assumed to be caused by water penetration and dampness because the insulated wall does not receive adequate ventilation, and as shown in Figure 13 is still in damp condition. However, the exterior wall is a very good condition where only small flaws such as peel paint are found while there is no crack. In good-looking shape, all the artwork still works and mostly painted in light blue-green Art Deco color. Okay, now we're going for the element roof. Central market roofing come in three types: flat roof, embedded vault roof, and glacier sky roof. Figure 14, however, during the rainy days, there is no leaking of surf and the skylight glaze roof also provides ample market light and serve as a good energy saver. Last but not least, for the last element, door and window. In Central Market, door and window are entirely made of blue-green Colex glass with a stepped metal grille pattern and add with some molded decoration of Art Deco motif. In every portion of the window or door, there is no broken glass or crack. Both windows are fixed windows. Since they are completely air conditioned in the Central Market, the windows and doors are in very good shape overall.
Problem issues of Central Market. In the 1970s, the Central Market was to be demolished for Dayabumi Phase 5, a multi-million dollar construction of a high-rise offices, hotels, and stores, along with the old shops near it purchased by the Urban Development Authority. With the economic downturn coupled with the surplus office and industrial space and on the property market, the government approved the plan of the developer to save the Central Market during the economic downturn and over construction at the time grasped by the enlightened developers. A window of opportunity provided Central Market itself with vision. The Central Market was reopened and transformed into a cultural market on 15 April 1986. It has since been listed by the Malaysian Heritage Society as a heritage site and is now a landmark showcasing a wide range of Malaysian arts and crafts, batik, antiques, and attractive souvenirs for Malaysian culture and heritage.
Central Market before adaptive reuse. First is Central Market was built in 1936 by the Kuala Lumpur Sanitary Board as the main fresh produce market, or known as wet market, for the residents of Kuala Lumpur and the outlying areas. Concerning in the changing the whole area of the historical places in Kuala Lumpur, Badan Warisan Malaysia opposed the project. However, the economic downturn in 1985, they just agreed in save the Central Market and turn into a cultural market. Therefore, with the impact of downturn helping in save of change completely the historical building into something new. Central Market Adaptive Reuse Concept. Based on the report that have been discussed, that Central Market applied the concept of adaptive use on the building by retaining the original concept by least design is strong and nice looking. Harta Bumi Sendirian Berhad want to retain of larger single room concept as the new structure all in the building, and the new structure does not touch the original structure as the facade shown the historical. Central Market Adaptive Reuse Construction. The construction in retain the Central Market building by restoring and renovating, including the mezzanine floor, with open plan shops, stall utilizing the old market slabs, central air conditioning, and a coat of apricot and baby blue for the exterior. The aim of the design concept maintaining the sense of openness with lots of movement, intimacy, and color. Mezzanine level has been built, also the stairs that directly from downstairs to the mezzanine level. The roof that being built using continuous glazed skylight for the walkway.
Okay, now I will go for the Sultan Sulaiman Royal Mosque. For the history background, Sultan Sulaiman Royal Mosque was known to be the Selangor Royal Mosque. It is located in Kelang, which is the royal capital of Selangor. This was because Kelang is the second most important city in Selangor and was also the place where the royal place of the Sultan was located. According to the Northern and Masni 2014, Sultan Sulaiman Royal Mosque was designed by the British architect named Leoric Kesteven in early 1930s. The mosque was a mixture of Western Art Deco and Neoclassical style. This building consisted of the mosque and also a royal mausoleum. So I will go for the history timeline for 1930s. According to Cardosa 2019, Sultan Sulaiman Royal Mosque was built in 1932 and completed in 1933. This building was mainly designed by Leofric Kesteven, which used to be a chairman of the Malay Institute of Architecture from 1931 to 1933. However, there are also the other important people credited for the design, such as John Thomas Chester, who was the reinforced concrete specialist attached to United Engineering Ltd, and Rodolfo Noyes, an Italian sculptor based in Singapore who worked on the ornaments of the building. In 1933, the construction was the largest concrete structure in Malaya as the reinforced concrete was relatively new the engineering industry in country. Sultan Sulaiman Royal Mosque was the of Osif in the years 1934 by the late Al-Mahum Sultan Sir Aladdin Sulaiman Shah of Selangor and the British Federal Malay State High Commission, Sir Lawrence non-Groveland. The design of the mosque was also consulted by the late Al-Marhum Sultan Sir Aladdin Sulaiman Shah of Selangor, which were the five Sultan of the Selangor as shown in Figure 1. Now I will go for the 2010s. In years 2012, the Sultan Sulaiman Royal Mosque was placed under the National Heritage List in 2012. Therefore, this building cannot be renovated or changed heavily to keep the original of its design. In years 2015, a major upgrading work had been begun with a budget of the Rm 12 million to restore and preserve the beauty of the building. The upgrading work were asked to be disturb the architectural look of the mosque as it's very unique. They have been strictly informed to conserve every detail of the mosque. The restoration process were mostly to clean the look of the mosque. They had to learn how to use the soda placing machine efficiently so that dirt and grime removal will not affect the original surface. Some of the restaurant will be the marble floor and the mihrab. The highlight restoration, according to Cardosa 2019, will be on the bas relief as the bas relief was painted white during the renovation process in 1960. They have decided to bring it back to its original color look like from the 1930 as shown in Figure 1.4 and Figure 1.5. So, finally, the Jabatan Kerja Raya Negeri Selangor, which assisted from the Jabatan Warisan Negara and Jabatan Agama Islam Selangor, had successfully completed the restoration process of the Sultan Sulaiman Royal Mosque in November 2017. Now I will go for the location of the building. The story of Kelang come much early the Malacca. The country is part of the government colonized territories of the Srivijaya and Majapahit. The origin of Kelang name is from the Moinkyo language, which is Kelang is Kelong. Kelong can be described as a warehouse like a CEO Blagden, who said the Kelang had become a major port which lot of the warehouse. Meanwhile, Charles F. Fish view was the Kelang Empire Channel of waterway. Okay, now the location of the Sultan Sulaiman Royal Mosque. The Sulaiman Royal Mosque, located in Kampung Jawa, Kelang, was officially opened by His Highness Sultan of Selangor, Sultan Aladdin Sulaiman Shah ibn al-Makrum, Raja Muda Musa, after whom the mosque was named. It was officially opened on Friday, 23 June 1933. This grand mosque was previously known as the Sulaiman Jamil Rahmat Mosque and proclaimed as the new state mosque of the Selangor upon its opening. The foundation stone of this historic mosque was also laid by His Highest Sultan Aladdin Sulaiman Shah on 11 September 1932. The mosque was said to have been a present from the British colonial government to the Sultan of Selangor in conjunction with the declaration of Kelang as the royal town. It was also a replacement for the old Pakalan Batu Mosque. The architecture responsible for the design the mosque was Riefroy Kesteven Friedbar, the assistant architect of the public work department, while the construction of the mosque was undertaken by United Engineering Ltd from the Singapore. Thank you.
Building description. The mosque architecture is a combination of Western Art Deco and neoclassical cathedral styles. It was designed by the British architect Leofric Kestevan. The concept design of the Sultan Sulaiman Mosque in Klang is quite different from any of the existing mosques in the state, as well as in Malaysia. Some suggest the influence of Islamic architecture on the Sultan Sulaiman Mosque incorporates Moorish, neoclassical, and English architecture. The original style, when viewed from above, is like a crossbar, as is so often seen in church plans in Europe. But the Sultan Sulaiman Mosque now looks like a square customization of Selangor Islamic Religious Department, JAIS. The Sultan Sulaiman Mosque main prayer room has an octagonal shape at the bottom and begins to transform into a circular shape at a height of 10 meters. It is it is possible to pick up the side of the main dome since it has two balconies. Stained glass is one of the material used in Sultan Sulaiman Mosque. The mosque was designed and built during the British colonization in the 19th century. Stained glass was one of the materials introduced in the construction. Although the British wanted it to be look like a church, they had to respect the Islamic style of the mosque. Usually, stained glass windows will show depictions of religious figures, but it is strongly discouraged in Islam. Pebble dashing wall finish. In the construction of the mosque, the pebble dashing wall finish was applied. Using combination of lime, cement with sand and pebble, the exterior wall finish was rendered and then cast into the wall. The pebble dash finish is initially used as a weather defense, but this finish does not add any additional strength to a wall in general. Due to the climate in Britain, which is damp and high in humidity, this making is important in Britain. An overall minimalistic building, the mosque does contain certain ornamentations, predominantly geometrical patterns, but there are traces of arabesque on plain solid walls. Mosque tends to be simple and undecorated. In Islamic architecture, geometric patterns are generated from repeating, combining, interlacing, and arranging simple shapes into different combinations to form complex patterns. The Sultan Sulaiman Royal Mosque consists of geometric patterns that can be found on the walls and fences on the mosque and on the floor tiles in the courtyard. There are also hints of arabesque and intricate ornament composed of vegetal and geometrical patterns along with the choreographical ornaments of an inscription. Arc. The arc referring back to the ancient times but still in wide use until today. is one of the most remarkable architectural discoveries. The unique architecture was derived from the Islamic Arc, which was found in the Middle East at about the same time. The horseshoe arc is a sign of sainthood and holiness according to the FSDC Limited 2000, and it is an improved version of Roman semicircular arc form. Islamic arches can be found in Middle East mosques as well as in other Islamic countries such as Malaysia. Groin vaulting. A vault is a brick, stone, or concrete ceiling designed in accordance with the principle of the arc. When a barrel vault intersected at right angles, a groin vault is formed. Around the entrance of the mosque, groin vaults were added, creating additional openings for each part. Adaptive reuse. Before adaptive reuse, the mosque can accommodate of expanding population in Kelang in 1932 to 1933 when the mosque was built. Throughout the process to build the mosque, the ruler of Selangor, Sultan Alauddin Sulaiman Shah, had followed the project's development over a period of 80 years. The external bush hammered walls accumulated quite thick layer of dirt, dust, and grime where there is where the starter of the restorations of the building start. Adaptive reuse concept. The building was designed as an octagonal garden pavilion-like structure at the foot of the old Astana Mahkotapuri Klang. It was the largest concrete structure in Malaya in 1933, with the collaborations of architecture, engineer, and sculpture to finish the project. The mosque stands as one of the most unique religious architecture in the country because the concept of Art Deco edifice. Adaptive reuse construction. The originality of the building has been brought in the back in time 1933 as close as possible restorations, which is when the building finished built. The restoration, including the uncovering of colorful bas reliefs adorning its upper wall and its original sunken ablution pond. According to Cardosa, the conservation project was initiated by Jabatan Agama Islam Selangor JAIS and was followed by the present Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah. Jabatan Kerja Raya Negeri Selangor was the assistance of consultations for linear architecture and Badan Warisan Heritage Service worked together in the recording of the original architecture details and construction process involved in the restorations of Sultan Sulaiman Royal Mosque. Most of the mosque's original design is still intact, but in present can be seen the major change would be the extended prayer hall area that being built over former gardens in the 1960s to 1970s. Other major changes are in the compound of and involvement in the perimeter wall to the entrance Pintu Gerbang, as well as the new administrative building beside it. So, in conclusion, Central Market is the conservation building in the area of Kuala Lumpur that also have historical story and places that still running as a business in the near area of Central Market, such as Petaling Street, Guandi Temple, Sia Temple, Sri Mahamariamman Temple, even the whole of the shop houses building are historical building that have been restored and renovated into a high-rise building or only use the original building as it is. Even though before the Central Market activity as a wet market, but in the present day the upgraded building enhances the handicraft that have been in Malaysian display and Sal also being one of the most attraction places for the foreign to know more about Malaysian culture. Therefore, the Sultan Sulaiman Royal Mosque was placed under the National Heritage List in 2012, and there a ceremony in May marking the completion of its restoration took place in 3 November 2017, officiated by the Sultan of Selangor, HRH Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah Al-Hajj. The restorations of or conserving the building helped to store the heritage values in the building, even though the restorations being made are not the same as the original first built and of the building, but the restorations and conservation design being as close as the original pattern design or color facade of the building or interior of the building without losing the heritage values. Thank you.